And now we go back to Southeast Europe, or if some call this area, our region, Balkan, some not, I don't know, as you prefer it. And we will now be hearing what are the Balkans or this region are already doing to build these ecosystems on the ground. And not just any Balkans, but women Balkan. And we know how that different is. They know how to collaborate and grow together. And of course, this panel will be moderated by another amazing woman, Maja Mimica from the NetHub. Round of applause.
Thank you, Pinia, and hello everyone, and welcome to our Gathering for Impact, where we will try to answer how health innovation ecosystems learn, grow, and scale together. So, across our region, we see health tech ecosystems, national health tech ecosystems taking different shapes, but they all face similar challenges, such as building trust, securing funding, aligning with regulation, and finding paths to scale. Today, we will try to explore how ecosystems can not only grow individually, but also learn and scale together. I'm extremely proud to be here today and joined by three outstanding panelists. And dear ladies, would you please introduce yourselves to our spectacular audience?
Hi, so I will start. I'm Rebecca Žerovnik, the head of the Digital Health Office at the Technology Park of Ljubljana. So it's my second time here. I'm very happy that you invited me again, and I will share our experience.
Hello from my side. My name is Ivana Kostić, and I'm the co-founder and director of Healthtech Lab, the cluster that supports the creation and growth of health tech, medtech, and biotech innovations in Serbia. I'm here for the first time, but actually I'm very happy to see the familiar faces and to explore the collaboration with all of you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Leila Gurbeta-Pokvić. I'm director of VerLab Research Institute for Biomedical Engineering, Medical Devices, and Artificial Intelligence. This is the first independent research institute to be set up in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the last 30 years. It's been set up around a company, and the main mission is actually to boost the innovation ecosystem around health tech in our region.
Great, thank you, ladies. Once again, I'm extremely proud to be sitting here with women. Thank you once again. It is inspiring to meet such interesting women, and let's begin with short opening insights. So my first question goes to all of you. And in your view, what is the single most important challenge or opportunity facing health innovation ecosystems today?
Okay. Let's start here. Yeah. I think it's really important that we know that in the center point of all the ecosystems are people. So it's us who, usually when we start building the ecosystem, especially for us, it was, we had to start from the ground zero. There are so many entities who are not connected at all. So building trust among them it took us overly 14, 15 years actually in Slovenia, to start really opening up the organizations. And the problem was that at some point everything was connected to one person, and when that person left, everything stopped. So it's really important that we have people working together, that it's not everything build up on just one single person, because then we can actually break the, we have to start from zero ground or somewhere lower again. And also when we connect with each other. Like last year, you should have seen us. We met at after the conference, 5 heads together, all running their own ecosystems, like Slovenia, Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia, all together. We were just starting to let's say, brainstorming what we can do together. And that was just because we were, people who have the same vision and passion that we build something together. And it already started. I think we applied to 6, 7 projects in this 1 year. We have a lot of collaboration ongoing with exchange of startups and investors meetups and so on. So I think, it's just the people. You have to bring the right people together. That's the essence.
Yeah, so I'd like to start, as we are at the School of Medicine, so I'd like to start with a general challenge that actually I read a book called The Doctors from Eric Segal, so I would recommend that to all the students and doctors here. And actually one point from the book that inspired me is still a challenge for all of us. So actually the dean at Harvard Medical School welcomed the first-year students from the generation of, let's say, 1972. And he welcomed them with just one number on the board. It was number 26. And he just said, this is the number of the diseases that we know the cause of and that we have treatment for. So there are like a lot of millions of diseases that are just biases, and we are actually treating only the symptoms. So basically, there is a huge field of opportunity for creating innovations in health, diagnostics, therapies, etc. So this is really inspiring for any region, but more specifically for our region and Serbia, I would say we have, let's say, the forest of challenges, but I will just mention a few. We're not part of the European Union, the funding is scarce, and there are a lot of other local challenges. However, we have developed a system that is still working, that connects the innovators that have their own ideas and the support system for them to create innovations in Serbia that will stay as long as possible there. Of course, there is always a need and opportunity to connect with other ecosystems to learn, etc. And actually, the model that we have developed, the plan is to expand it to other emerging regions of Africa, Asia, South America. And everything that we are doing in Serbia is actually focused on this, to expand and to transfer to other emerging regions.
Thank you.
Well, I could say a lot on the challenges, and I'm sure that we all know the good recipe, how to build an innovation ecosystem around the health tech, but then when you come in the local context, everything changes. So I will tell you a story of how we set up the institute and actually why. And you will hear about the challenges actually during that process. So I was working in this private company that the main sector in which the company was doing and still is inspection of medical devices for post-market surveillance. So we were the engineers that went into every healthcare institution in our country, and we talked with patients, people, either healthcare providers or technicians within the healthcare system. And through that experience that I was involved for 7 years, I got to sense the needs, the real needs of the people working inside, which are not documented anywhere systematically and strategically within our local context. And by listening the presentation on needs, I asked myself, where could I go and search for these needs of the healthcare sector in our country? And the answer is actually nowhere, because everything relies on this direct contact with the healthcare sector. So that is the first systematic change, that on the policy level we should change, and there are different policy levels to tackle this, from local to more national. So by observing these needs, we thought to ourselves, actually, that that was the researcher part in myself, wow, there is a lot of opportunity to solve these challenges if only these people knew how to use the funds that are available, and we have been hearing about these available funds. And then, of course, by parallel working in the company, I was always involved in academia. I was pursuing my professional career as assistant and later as a professor. So I had this touch with the researchers and I had this touch with the cool innovation idea, and then you see the gap. And the idea nurtured over the years, and out of simple frustration by running one project, I thought to myself, wow, there must be a way to have an entity that could actually lead these innovative projects in very conservative ecosystem. So the second challenge what I see is the mindset. Everyone expects innovation, but everyone expects us, experts, pioneers, to work under certain protocols. And that is what was the second challenge. So we went in the way of setting up this institute. And for that, we needed approvals from the General Assembly for the government. And I was really amazed in that process to see how these traditional systems actually make statements that such entity is not needed in our local ecosystem. So again, we come to that mindset. And in the end, the company decided to invest in this, to establish non-profit entity, because research entity is a non-profit entity. And after 3.5 years of me and the team running the institute and pursuing the project, we were able to create the actual changes in our local ecosystem that now we are working on to scale up in the healthcare sector of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And of course, to do so in your local ecosystem, we need to connect. So the challenge is still there in connecting these innovative ecosystems in healthcare that still relies on our personal interconnection. I mean, you said after last conference we were here in Split, we have developed 6 different projects and applied, and that is a huge effort. And there should be a way to put a priority on these kind of connections and the work that ecosystems are doing together. So those are a few challenges that I experienced from practice, working in the healthcare ecosystem in our country and trying to change something. So from people to policy, but major obstacle is mindset. If you are expected to do the innovation, you cannot do it in a way that everyone is expecting the processes to function.
Great, ladies. Thank you very much for sharing your stories. I loved how you stated the importance of people and networking and how much impact we managed to make since our last year and when we met. Now I would like to ask you a few more questions about building and nurturing your ecosystems, more specific questions. So Rebecca, let's start with you. From your work at DHI HealthWise, what strategies have proven most effective in helping startups navigate their entrepreneurial journey?
So we first had to build a secure funding for our programs. We were lucky enough that the Technology Park of Ljubljana has a long-standing relationship with the Slovene Enterprise Fund for general startups support programs. But then we managed to showcase through the work that we do and existing hubs in other countries that we need also specialized programs, because so health tech startups can get some information from the classical support programs, but there are these needs that we have to address, like the MDR, the testing environment, clinical studies. So it's a lot of specific topics that, normal accelerators don't cover. So we need to find the experts who can help us. So build our own network in Slovenia, local entities, individuals who can help us in this. In the programs, we had to secure the funding, and we had to find partners who will also support us in the testing field. So hospitals or other stakeholders, patients who are willing to collaborate. And we first had to start just by finding enough enthusiasts, because when you are building everything from the ground, funding is very low, so they have to be willing to help also to participate for free or very, very low budget. And but year after year, you get stronger, you get better success stories, you can get, you just grow, yeah.
Great, thank you. And Ivana, Healthtech Lab became a model for ecosystem development. What were, in your opinion, the key design choices that made it thrive?
Yeah, so I'll also go back to the very beginning. So I participated at the second pediatric hackathon at MIT during my PhD. So it was an amazing experience, but also the most interesting part was that they were outsourcing this event. So I decided to organize it in Belgrade. It happened for the first time in January 2017. So actually no innovations in health happened at that time in Serbia. There was mainly IT entrepreneurship and strong local organizations supporting engineers and mainly robotics, IT, etc. But we decided to use this force and direct it into solving medical challenges. So this first hackathon happened and it was a huge success. I would say that one of the main designs that we created at that point was to invite patient associations. That is also very strong. We use all the strengths that we had in the ecosystem. And so they were pitching their challenges while the scientists, engineers, designers were creating solutions and startups that actually continue their development afterwards. So the hackathons are 2-day events. We created 10 solutions, but it was the question what to do with them. The system did not recognize startups, they didn't have support, etc. And this is how Healthtech Lab actually emerged. Over time, we created collaborations with many other international ecosystems. I would also mention UK, and I'm happy to see some of the familiar faces from that time as well. We created pre-acceleration program in Serbia with Innovation Forum UK at that time from Cambridge. So actually the winners in the local ecosystem went to the final events and pitching system. This is where we also had Tony as one of the jury members of our local competition. And actually this happened 2 or 3 times in a row, but we also had collaborations with several mentors from other health developed ecosystems of US, Israel, etc. So this is also the plan to proceed with this. We had a USAID project of pilot superclusters, and definitely one of the goals is now to connect with the region and have more intense projects and collaborations, and in that way to expand the market, expand the opportunities for our startups and for the regional startups in general.
Great, thank you for your insight. And Leila, do you see differences in how ecosystems form in smaller versus larger markets? And what do you think we can learn from that?
I think, as I mentioned, also from the presentation, you can see all the elements that are necessary. It doesn't matter if we are speaking of a larger ecosystem or a smaller ecosystem. The framework is all there. I always pose a question: how do you trust on an ecosystem that wants to thrive? You always rely on the enthusiasts that actually see the vision and understand the mission. So I would say that pretty much the recipe is the same. The resources are hugely different. We are developing health ecosystem in an area, Balkans, Southeast Europe, where you don't have major producers of medical equipment. You have pharmacy leaders, of course, but the health tech sector requires all the stakeholders. So even that these large companies are not present here, it doesn't mean that we cannot build the linkages and use the ideas that we have in this sector. So we need to, when I talked with my team on deciding is it viable to have an institute that works in the health tech sector, we came to a very simple conclusion. It is not viable if you're going in for the profit and everything, but this kind of institution is needed to boost the ecosystem and to provide a platform for the researchers who want to pursue the ideas. So the institute actually and the ecosystem that we are building follows on 3 processes, three activities: education, transformation, and then you come to the innovation. So we put a lot of effort on educating the members of the stakeholders. What do we need in our
Changing
area?
mentality.
Yes. Connecting the stakeholders. I really like your approach. We are following a very similar approach, and actually having this vice versa. It's not the innovators pitching idea at first, but the patient association if we are speaking about healthcare. So just by having a different mindset, in a different way, connecting all the players, I think that is where the innovation builds, and it's not so much different if we are speaking of larger ecosystems or smaller ecosystems. In the end, people is the key factor that unites everything.
Great, thank you. Now I would like us to tackle more barriers. You all mentioned challenges that we all face, but when it comes to overcoming barriers, there are the strong ones such as funding, regulation, and scaling. So Rebecca, funding is definitely a recurring challenge. What tools or partnerships have you seen work best in supporting startups financially?
So there are two fundings. One is for us to maintain the programs, and then for the startups to build the companies. And we both have the same challenge in a way, and different sources where we can gather. And for the startups, we tried to do a similar map that Alexandra showed before, what's in UK. So you have different stages and different funding options. We are trying now to identify additional funding sources in Slovenia that we might not know of, because a lot of times we have, I don't know, municipalities funding some parts, and so the Slovenian enterprise is funding the startups who are already on the market. And we have different cascade funds available from the European Union, and we are trying to make this map to better guide our startups depending on the depending on the level of maturity they are, the challenges they are facing, which of the funding sources is available for them. And it's important for us to know these options, because it's easier for us to navigate around it, and to not always just show the EIC accelerator maybe, because that one is very difficult to get, and it's a great source, but I see it often in Slovenia that everyone is just showing the most obvious one, but not the little ones that are in between. And I think VC funds are one of the options, but a lot of times the startups are not ready for that at all. But because they only see that as promoted as one of the funding sources, they just jump to that part. So yeah, we try to navigate them through the labyrinth, which options they actually have. And connect with other, again, with other ecosystems, what they have, because Slovenia and Croatia, we have a lot of funds together, joined together, like the VCs. I think 2 or 3 are connected, are funding both countries' startups. But also you have funds in Switzerland, in UK, who are not country specified, so you can join their accelerators, you can join their you can look for business angels there and so on. So we try to be those guides through the labyrinth of options, because there are options, but they are a lot of times too hidden. They're not on one website that you can just check, and that's it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Leila, if you had to pick one structural barrier holding our region back the most, what would it be? And what's a practical step to address it?
Oh, how diplomatic you want me to be in that answer. The top-down approach is always, always the solution, but I'm sure that in this room we all can agree that top-down approach is necessary regarding the policy level in order to unlock the investment, unlock the path that is clearly positioned by our international colleagues. But I know that we are aware that we cannot do it like it's not up to me to change that, and I cannot do it from my position. And as I see a lot of people, young people sitting over here, I would just like to speak from my experience. I would like to say that sometimes when we hear about these innovation, we always expect like individual, something great is going to happen, or innovation will be around the corner, I will recognize it and it will be so big and shiny, and everything will be super cool. No, actually, what I have learned from my experience, and this institute that I'm now running is a startup, that it takes huge work in silence, without any reflectors on that work, for that idea to become innovation, and then you come and present it, and you pursue the investors, and you have cool pitches, and you learn how to do pitch, etc., etc. So the real work is being done within the healthcare institutions. The real work is being done in the academia and in the laboratories of the faculties. And speaking from this position to you who are students nowadays, you have a lot of time to pursue a lot of what-if ideas. Once you get into the labor market, once you get in the company, you are streamlined to work in a different, in a certain way. So I would send a message to all of the young people that leave today this conference with a thought, okay, innovation is not so shiny at the beginning. Maybe in my local ecosystem, in my laboratory, I'm already seeing the innovation potential. So I need to learn, I need to connect through the ecosystem, and these people here represent the ecosystem, and I need to build this idea to become a real innovation that has that impact that we are speaking about. So even for the great challenges, we don't expect that we will have some magic wand and we will solve them. Everything takes time. Innovation is a process. It's not one happening, but it's a process that takes a lot of time. And I'm sure addressing these major challenges, I would say that we are in a process on solving slowly these challenges, so in maybe 3 to 5 years we can expect to have even more boosting health ecosystem in Southeast Europe. Why? Because we have our people, clinicians, people in healthcare sector that are leaving our country and that are working within the healthcare sector of European Union. We have intellectual capacity to produce the ideas that are really innovative. And these are the resources that we should think about when addressing this through the policy level and changing the mindset around the innovation. Nevertheless, if we are speaking health tech innovation or innovation in other sectors in our countries over here, because the problem is systematical and it's the same for every sector.
Great, thank you. You actually gave a great introduction to my next question to Ivana. So scaling health tech requires moving from prototypes to commercialization. What are the biggest pitfalls and how can an ecosystem help avoid them?
Yes, I will also start with an example. I think the examples and startups that are creating a path are always the best inspiration for everyone else in the ecosystem. And in our case, we had a startup that is now called MCAT or SREMCAT, so Innovative Catheter. Boško Sremčević was a student of medicine in Belgrade, so he had this idea after the death of his grandfather how to create a new catheter, and actually he sold his piano to create or to buy his first home 3D printer to create the first prototype at home. So this is the story of innovations in health in Serbia. Unfortunately, they still are, but then we met with him, we somehow put him in the machine of all local funds that we had at the time, like Innovation Fund that supported patenting of this prototype, then actually the Healthtech Lab that supported with pre-acceleration program, and also the matching with business people, not just to fund the startup and idea, but also he was the only one in the team. He had the burning desire to create this, but he didn't have the team, he didn't know the business, he didn't know how to pitch. His only pitch was the science and technological part on the slides. So actually, let's say we matched him with the CEO, and Boško is today the doctor, unfortunately in Austrian hospital, but the startup, the patent exists in Serbia, and he's a consultant and part of the team, etc. But this is one of the, let's say, success stories, and he also gave us a permission to use his startup to actually pave the way for all other startups in the ecosystem. In terms of what's necessary of the materials to create a functional prototype, how to test, where to get funds for this kind of medtech innovation in our ecosystem. So I think these case studies and some examples are really crucial for inspiration, but also like to see where the blockage is and how can we navigate the way. And this is still ongoing, so they're in preclinical testings, but also we learn so much as an ecosystem of like how to connect what is necessary, what kind of challenges many other startups after him will have, and for us as organization, how to scale this. So how to create now the programs that will enable this kind of matchmaking between innovators, either from science or any other innovation that comes up. How to match them with fundings, what stages of fundings are necessary, etc. So I think the examples, again, and startups really show us the way.
Great, thank you. Unfortunately, we're short on time, so I will like to close with one question to all of you, and it is about cross-border collaboration and future opportunities. So how can our hubs work together better to provide more value for stakeholders such as researchers, startups, and everyone in the ecosystems?
We are working, huh?
Work better.
I think that we always use these conferences as a super platform to brainstorm on more ideas what we are going to do in a year. To work better, well, Rebecca, maybe to follow up on your take on funding, I think that these cross-border initiatives should be recognized and stipulated, invested more in certain programs that transfer experiences from ecosystems of different maturity among the region. Because speaking about from the perspective of Bosnia and Herzegovina, I see lower maturity in respect to Slovenia and Serbia, and for sure that there are certain experiences that we could learn from and implement very similar program adjusted to local circumstances. So that would be my answer to this question.
I would also stress something that we also discussed, and I think it's very important to see what are the strengths and weaknesses of each of the ecosystems and like match in that sense. And this is how we are thinking now about projects and how to submit and to use actually the best of each ecosystem and create one unique, strong regional market for all of our startups. So as also Leila mentioned, the submissions and organization of these projects are ongoing, so hopefully we will have more to share on the next conference and to present our solutions and startups. So,
and that we work long term, like not just having one project, oh, for a year we work together, then we stop, like ongoing, and the projects are actually just a source of revenue stream for our programs, but we really look for something 4, 5, maybe even 9, 10 years. This is something I'm really missing at home, that our programs are usually a year, 2 years long, while I see it in Austria, they have it for 8, 9 years. So you can really build something much, much better and stronger when you have an ongoing source for more than 1, 2 years, because it usually takes 1 year to set it up, and then you already have to showcase the results. Of course, they are not as amazing because you only had 1 year, but when you have it for a longer period, you can really showcase something great. And that's, I think, something that we can do to have a plan for a longer period of time, and even if we find then sources in between that follow finance the same way, path.
Yes, to stress more the quality of our collaboration. So, dear ladies, thank you very much. And our audience, are there any questions to the ladies?
Dobar dan, ja sam Miloš Kostić. Sorry, yeah. Hi, hello, my name is Miloš and I come from Technalia from Belgrade. I actually have a question for Leila. What kind of institutional support you get in terms of funding in Bosnia and Herzegovina? Because there are some nice programs, frameworks, right, let's say, or in Serbia, like Fund for Innovation Fund, and there is, here in Croatia is Hamag Bicro. I would also then later ask the same question for Slovenia, so, so please, Rebecca, if you can follow up. Because obviously that is quite important and interesting, and maybe through this regional collaboration and so on, we could make governments more aware of this importance. And it's sometimes different when you are just crying for that from the inside, when there is also similar feedback from the outside. So please.
Thank you for your question. First answer is that the institute is a private institution that gets funding to work from the company. So the company invested a lot of its profit to open the institute and to secure funding for the first 3 years of working. So all the salaries of people working in the institute come from the company. We are not on the budget of any authority, of any government. And we participate in the open calls for projects, where we apply for a project and get funding to implement the project. And we do that on local level, national level, and regional and European level. When we set up the institute, there was a clear mission: pursue projects that are strategically important for our country from the perspective of EU accession. And now we are running through two strategic projects as an institute with the highest impact in our country. I will just mention this project in terms of building capacity for high-performance computing in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So a lot of work is actually in creating the research infrastructure that we were speaking is needed for the innovation. So it's fully private efforts to create more social impact as science should create. That is one take of the answer. The second take is that if you're following the media in our country, I'm the one in the media telling people, look, science in our country should be treated as economic resource, and you should invest in this. And the programs that are existing, you can expect that I'm not the most lovable person for that, but the programs that are existing, do you have any KPIs on that? Do you measure what kind of scientific outreach you have? Do you measure what kind of economic impact are your programs creating? So I'm out there speaking that if you want to observe science as economic resource, if you want this kind of investment from the budget, then you should have clearly KPIs to measure the impact and use those information to program funding for the next period. Because what we are seeing, unfortunately, is in our country that the program funding is going according to some other indicators rather than for scientific impact or economic impact. And the first step is to change that.
And we can continue this conversation over coffee because it's our coffee break time. But before I let you, I want two things. First of all, round of applause for amazing women. And now, two more things. First, before I let you to go for a coffee, I want to give you one important task. During a coffee break, meet at least one new person, okay? We said this is all about networking, so use this chance. Second thing, it seems that not only Dalmatians, but all people, okay, somebody's party, everybody that's coming to Split is caffeoholic, because there's no more coffee at the moment. We are waiting a guy to refill the coffee machine. We drank it all this morning, so good for you. We are all on coffee. We are really coffee lovers. But anyway, thanks to Bobby's, we have some croissants and some refreshments, and coffee will be there soon. Okay, that's all from me now. See you back at 11:15. Enjoy and wait for your coffee. Thank you.